The Forest Rescue Adventure. As the sun filtered its golden rays through the clouds above the forest awakened to a peaceful morning, as it always did. The great oak tree at the heart of the forest echoed with the chirping of birds nesting in its branches. Around this tree lived the most friendly and curious animals in the forest: curious squirrel Sammy, wise owl Oliver, and gentle tortoise Toby. Sammy had gone out, as usual, to search for breakfast. Flicking his small bushy tail, he hopped from branch to branch, gathering acorns. Meanwhile, Oliver was perched atop the great oak tree, squinting slightly as he watched over the forest. Oliver was a wise owl and one of the oldest inhabitants of the forest. Whenever he sensed danger, he would warn all the forest dwellers and do everything he could to maintain peace. Toby, on the other hand, was making his way slowly through the forest. Known for his calmness and patience, no one could match his gentleness and willingness to help. That morning, Sammy noticed something unusual. The soil around the oak tree looked drier than usual. Surprised, Sammy lifted his head and called out to Oliver, "Oliver! Look here, why is the soil so dry?" Oliver spread his wings and glided down to join Sammy. Toby also slowly made his way to them. "This is not a good sign," said Oliver, examining the soil. "Our forest's water sources might be running dry." This discovery caused concern among the forest inhabitants. If the water sources dried up, life in the forest could be in danger. The three friends decided to act quickly to solve this problem. Oliver closed his wisdom-filled eyes in thought. "Perhaps we can find a way to reach the hidden water sources deep within the forest. However, this will be a journey full of dangers." Toby gave his friends an encouraging look. "We can do it together. Nature has always helped us, now it's our turn." And so, Sammy, Oliver, and Toby embarked on a long adventure to save the forest. As they ventured into the depths of the forest, they would discover both themselves and the strength of their friendship. As Sammy, Oliver, and Toby passed by the oldest tree in the forest, they heard a rustling sound from the tree. Sammy said, "I haven't heard this sound before." Oliver looked carefully at the trunk of the old tree and noticed a flower emerging from the old cracked bark. The flower had bright blue petals that were stunningly beautiful. Toby recognized the flower. "This is the water flower. It only blooms in the deepest parts of the forest where water is abundant." This discovery was an important clue for the three friends on their journey. They needed to find the source of the water flower, because it might lead them to the reason why the water in the forest was drying up. As they continued deeper into the forest, the trees grew denser and the sunlight gradually dimmed. Along the way, they encountered many challenges. First, they came across a huge rock blocking their path. Sammy tried to find a way around it but realized they would lose too much time. "How are we going to get past this rock?" he asked. Oliver spread his wings and flew up to examine the rock from above. "There's a small hole at the top of the rock," he said. "We can widen it and pass through." Sammy immediately embraced this idea, and with Toby's help, they climbed up the rock together. Oliver used his strong beak to widen the hole. Toby used all his strength to move the rock, and eventually, the hole became large enough. All three managed to get through the rock. This was their first major success. As they continued on their journey, they began to hear the sound of water coming from deep within the forest. However, this time, they encountered another obstacle. A group of mischievous monkeys was blocking the path to the flowing water. Sammy, Oliver, and Toby decided to talk to the monkeys in a friendly manner to gain their trust. Sammy said, "Hello, friends. Would you like to play with us? But first, we need to find the source of the water." The monkeys responded positively to Sammy's friendly approach. "If you find the water source, can you play with us?" they asked. "Of course," Sammy replied. And so, the monkeys cleared the way, and the three friends continued their journey. Finally, they reached a cave deep in the forest. At the entrance of the cave, they saw water gushing out, but something was wrong. The water was accumulating inside the cave and couldn't flow out. Sammy noticed a large blockage in front of the water. "We need to remove this blockage," he said. Oliver and Toby carefully examined the blockage and then worked together to clear the water's path. The water began to flow out of the cave, and once again, the dry soil of the forest was met with water. Oliver said, "The water is flowing again, but this might be a temporary solution. The water balance of the forest is part of nature. We need to protect this balance." Toby added, "We must be more careful not to harm nature. We shouldn't waste our water resources." Sammy, considering what his friend said, remarked, "We need to teach this to all the animals in the forest. If we all work together, we can protect nature." The three friends, along with the other animals in the forest, made a plan to use water wisely and to protect the balance of nature. Each animal took on a task to protect the water sources. The monkeys took on the task of keeping the water paths clear. The birds watched over to see if the water was sufficient. Other animals promised to do their best to use water carefully. Water brought life back to every corner of the forest. The trees began to flourish again, flowers bloomed, and the animals happily continued their lives. As Sammy, Oliver, and Toby looked at their friends in the forest, they realized the greatness of what they had accomplished together. Sammy said, "Working together really was the best solution." Oliver added, "Yes, nature always shows us what we need to do, as long as we listen." Toby, looking lovingly at his friend, said, "Our forest is now stronger and healthier, and we did it together." As the sun rose once again over the forest, the animals under the great oak tree fell into a peaceful sleep. Nature was singing them its most beautiful lullaby, the soothing sound of the forest's flowing water. As the sun hid behind the trees of the forest gradually fell into silence. Sammy, Oliver, and Toby sat under the great oak tree and watched the stars begin to twinkle. After a tiring but meaningful day, they all felt peaceful and happy. Oliver, gently closing his wings, said, "Today, nature taught us a lot. Now it's time to rest." Sammy slowly closed his eyes, murmuring, "Yes, tomorrow will be another beautiful day." Toby smiled at his friends and said, "Together, we can overcome anything," and slowly retreated into his shell. As the forest settled into the silence of the night, the wind whispered a gentle lullaby through the leaves. Sammy, Oliver, and Toby fell into a deep sleep, soothed by the peaceful sounds of nature. Just like them, you too can relax now and drift off to sweet dreams. Remember, every new day brings new adventures, but first, we must rest. Good night. Sweet dreams.